Hello and welcome to Cursed with Knowledge, where we aim to educate, motivate, and above all, enlighten. I'm Enoch Mountain Lovo. In the last episode, we answered the question, what are babies for anyway? If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you watch it first before proceeding with this one, even though you may still be able to follow and understand the discussion in this episode. Because the two episodes aren't exactly a series. They were not produced as a series. However, I still highly recommend that you watch the previous episode first. Anyway, in this episode, we will be presenting 5 things that every parent owes their child. So stick around, catch me on the other side of the curse. Welcome back. So, 5 things that every parent owes their child. There could be more, but there's definitely not less. These 5 are essential for the success of the child and of the parent. Now, there are some people who argue and promote the idea that the world or society, including your parents and everyone around you, don't owe you anything. We hear that a lot.
And they don't like hearing the truth. And the truth of the matter is this: the world owes you nothing.
Nobody owes me anything. They don't even owe me the truth.
Nobody, nothing, nobody owes you.
While there is some sense in that statement, it is not completely accurate. Of course, when there is no one in sight and no one cares enough about you to give you a helping hand, sure, in that situation, you have to carry your own weight. But the big takeaway from that is that at the end of the day, your personal success is your responsibility. That is, your personal goals and your personal plans are yours to execute. However, what the radical interpretation of the statement, no one owes you anything, fails to consider is the fact that, and I will never get tired of saying this, human beings are animals, social animals. And because of that, we need and thrive in social relationships. And in any kind of relationship, the people involved have duties and obligations that they owe to one another. So whatever relationship you have with someone, you owe them something in that relationship, and they in turn owe you something. Even that neighbor whose name you don't even know, you owe them something. Or that person that you have been getting on the same early morning bus on as for the last few weeks or so. You have a relationship with them. You are now co-passengers. So you owe them at least a good morning. Maybe even an offer to cover their bus fare if they are cute, or if they forget their purse one day. And if such small relationships come with obligations owed to each party, then certainly a relationship such as the one between a parent and a child must even have greater responsibilities and greater obligations. And parents take the lead here. They put themselves in debt the day they decided to have their child without its permission. So here are 5 things that every parent owes their child that, if given, will better the life experience of the child and get the parents off the "you didn't get my consent" hook. Number 1, an ideology. An ideology is a body or collection of beliefs and principles an individual or group of people holds about life. It defines what life means to you and what is important to you. It is a set of values. Okay. For instance, America's ideology has liberty at its center, and that affects its political, economic, and social policies. While Zambia's ideology is apparently centered on Christianity. So one's religion can define their ideology. As a parent, it is your duty to present to your child a working set of principles to live by. Before I proceed, let me make this disclaimer. I am not asking you to force all your beliefs on your children. Gods no. Not that I said present to your child, not impose, not indoctrinate. Your role is to define and demonstrate to your child the principles that have worked for you and what you believe makes for a happy and successful life with proper justification. Then leave them to develop and define their own values based on what you have given and as they get older. So in the end, an ideology is what determines whose child someone is. If a child holds and exalts the same principles as you, then they are your child. We have all heard people make statements like, he is his father's son, or she is her father's daughter, or you have your mother's spirit. What they mean to say is that they see the values and principles of the parent in the child. Unfortunately, these values can be either negative or positive. Personally, I am not a big fan of this man at all. I don't like his face. I don't like his hair. I don't like his policies and ideas. I don't like his plans and his principles, if he has any. I hate his books, especially the ones with the copycat spoof titles. I hate those. But I can commend him for one thing. He has succeeded in passing on his values and principles to his children. For one, he is very strong on sobriety. Once being quoted as having said, if you don't start, you are never going to have a problem. If you do start, you might have a problem. And it's a tough problem to stop. That is objectively an amazing evaluation. But coming from Trump, it is still unsettling if you think about it. Because it means he is in his best state of mind when he suggests and says stuff like this.
Said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know. Our gross domestic product, a sign of strength, right? But not for us. It was below zero. Who ever heard of this?
Anyway, while most of his claims should still be taken with a grain of salt, the man clearly has a strong aversion for alcohol and drugs. Meanwhile, his daughter Ivanka has been quoted as saying she pretty much only drinks water, tea, and coffee. And all his children have reported that their father has informed and influenced their relationship to alcohol. And it's not just alcohol. Trump has carried his children along in his values for status, power, and influence. And they have adopted his management principles and style in business. Unfortunately, that may not always be good principles. Sometimes it includes deceptive practices. So the point is, when you see a wealthy, self-made individual with spoiled, lazy children who don't have a drop of their parents' spirit of hard work, it is because the parents have failed to pass on their ideology of hard work, determination, and a business mind. Number 2, an education. While number 1 is about helping a child define and establish values and principles, number 2 is about equipping them with relevant skills and knowledge to succeed and thrive in life. And this is about more than formal education. Beyond formal education that you must definitely provide to your child, there are some lessons children need that are not taught in school. For instance, how to set priorities, or how to innovate when resources are limited, or how to ask a girl out. That's a very important one, which I wish I had. Then I would probably not be spending many of my nights and weekends shooting these episodes. But I digress. My point is, knowledge and skills are not inborn, and they are not passed on through genes. And that's a good thing. It means that they are not set on stone, and they can be improved upon. What this means, however, is that as a parent, it is your duty to transfer relevant knowledge to your children. You can't just have children and leave them to discover and learn through trial and error. What are you, a reptile? No. And the primary responsibility of teaching your children falls upon you, not the school teacher, not the pastor, not your parents, not their aunts or uncles, not the community. It falls on you. When was the last time you saw a wolf cub taking hunting lessons from a bear? Or a lion cub from a leopard? She is a predator too and is part of the cat family. Screw that. Do it yourself. Heck, even chimpanzees and gorillas know to teach their young how to make nests, how to climb trees, and how to make tools. And if these bareback apes have the sense to invest time and resources into the education of their babies, then you, a 3-piece suited Homo sapiens, should know better. Number 3, a good name. This one is massive. It deserves its own episode, but I will try my best to summarize it here. One of the burdens a child has to carry is always being identified or connected to their parents. I mean, just listen to this.
But he's a bastard of Winterfell, Ned Stark's son. Mance will want him.
Who's your father? The Hand, the traitor.
She's Brienne of Tarth. Her father's Lord Selwyn Tarth. Heard of Tarth?
He has other gifts.
Does he?
The gift of a great name. Sometimes, that's all one needs.
Everyone told me to learn from my father's mistakes. Don't go south. Don't answer a summons from the Mad King's daughter, a foreign invader. And here I am. A northern fool.
Children are not their fathers. Luckily for all of us.
I put in that last statement because it is probably the best reason one can give in the face of such prejudice. Because your parents' name, good or bad, still has an effect on how people perceive you. And by name, I mean image, legacy, or reputation. Not the first name that they give to you or the last name that you inherit, even though those are important too and can be damaging sometimes. I mean, if these guys had a choice, they would have probably picked better names. But I digress. The point is, your reputation is carried by your name and is passed on to your children. And that affects how people relate with them when they find out whose children they are. Unfortunately, some people don't even have a name to inherit. And that is a bad thing still. A parent's good name offers shoulders for a child to stand upon as they try to reach greater heights. There are countless people today who are still riding the wave of their parents' or grandparents' name. The most outstanding thing that has earned these people their current status is their family name. Even this guy, besides being the grandson of Queen Elizabeth, what noteworthy thing can you say about him that has earned him his status? The comment section is open. I will wait. But let us all agree that it is definitely not his looks. Just one more example before I move to the next point. I have a friend who says every time she has to go for an interview, the first question she's asked is, any relations to the late Dennis Liwewe? And her answer is, yes, he was my grandfather. Now, I am not saying the interviewer would give her a job or be biased based on that fact. But the fact that she carries the name of what was a national treasure and revered man casts her in some positive light. And in case you're wondering what a bad name can do to the coming generation, ask Germany and Japan. The other kids still aren't confident with them taking a lead on the international playground because of what their fathers did. Number 4, a sibling. Of course, this doesn't have to be a biological sibling. And if you have seen some of the past episodes of this show, you can probably guess why this is on the list and what I'm about to say next. In fact, I even said it at the beginning of this episode. Human beings are animals, social animals. And because of that fact, our development and ability to thrive depends on interaction with others. But why siblings? Why are they particularly important? The sibling relationship represents the second social interaction in a child's development. It shapes personality and helps the child develop an understanding of certain social devices like status or leadership and responsibility or altruism and cooperation. There is a lot of research that shows that one's relationship with siblings and their birth order affects their view of themselves and of others. Playing, working together, bickering, sibling rivalries all provide a lot of simulations from which children can learn. It's like lion cubs play fighting. There's no harm in it. Worst case scenario, the younger son grows up with jealousy and resentment for his elder brother, and so he ends up killing him and takes the birthright from the rightful heir. Yeah, just basic stuff. That's a common yet epic situation. I wonder if anyone has considered making a movie out of it. But hey, don't worry. That only happens if the younger son is a misguided brute. And speaking as a second son, I can assure you, we don't need violence force to steal people's birthrights. We traded that in for wheat. A bowl of red soup works just fine. That or a stack of greens to earn the family's respect. But yeah, it all does the job. Getting back to the point at hand though, more than just helping a child develop social skills, siblings are also necessary because they are people with whom we have shared values. Every family is unique, so it's often difficult to find a person with whom you have shared values outside the confines of your family home. But if you have a sibling, you have a friend, a companion, a partner with whom you have shared a home, values, lessons, parents, and sometimes a womb. Just don't take it to the Cain kind of biblical proportions like these guys did. Not cool. Lastly, an inheritance. Yes, I said it. As a parent, you owe your child an inheritance, a material inheritance. Oftentimes, parents make it seem like they're doing their children a favor by leaving them their wealth and their possessions. No, you're not. You owe it to them. Even the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children. Why do I say you owe it to your child? Because you are leaving your child with a duty, a responsibility to carry your name and your image. And I'm not just talking about men here. We are also burdened with the task of carrying our mother's name and image. So the least the both of you can do is to provide your children with the resources with which they can effectively and in the greatest possible way do this. Besides, if I am going to be burdened with the shame of being called something like this for the rest of my life, I might as well get paid for it. Now, to drive the point home with a more selfish reason, you should leave your children with as much wealth as you can when you die, because the purpose of having children, like we discussed in the previous episode, is to carry our legacy, pass on our genes, and philosophically make us immortal. That being the case, we should then ensure that they live their lives as comfortably as they can and mitigate any possible threats to their assigned mission. Take a look at these two children. If you can answer the question, which one of these is more likely to succeed? I'm not just talking about personally, but fulfilling the evolutionary task of preserving their family name, their legacy, and genes, then you know I am right. You know what you must do as a parent. Thank you for watching. I'm Enoch Mountain Lovu, and I hope that you have been cursed with knowledge. Every time you subscribe to this channel, a rainbow appears and makes a wonderful day for a 5-year-old. So please subscribe to this channel and share. You can also follow us here and here. Thank you.